Okay, find the domain of the function f of x equals 5 minus x over x squared minus 9x. So in order to find the domain, we need to think about what the domain is. If you remember, the domain is the set of all x values that you can plug into the function. Okay, so something that will give you a real solution. So for example, we know that we cannot divide by 0. So we're going to talk about this. If you look at this function, we have a denominator. This is a rational function. So we can talk about that denominator of this function and realize we need to make sure the denominator cannot be 0, because we know we're not allowed to divide by 0. So I'm going to take the denominator, x squared minus 9x, figure out when it's equal to 0. So then we can know what to exclude. So just like anything else, we're going to try to factor and solve this. Take out an x, and I would end up with x times x minus 9 equals 0. So you can say that that means you can take x and set it equal to 0. You can take x minus 9, set it equal to 0. Each of the factors you can set equal to 0. So we end up with x equals 0 and x equals 9. Okay, so those are the two things that we got when we talked about the denominator equaling to 0. So these must be excluded from our domain. Okay. So when we talk about exclusions from the domain, we're going to represent this in a couple of different ways for you guys. So we are going to talk about how x cannot equal 0 and x cannot equal 9. So this is the way we can write this in set notation. Would be the set of all x such that x cannot equal 0 and x cannot equal 9. So that is one way of representing the solution. So this is the domain. I'm going to call that capital D for the domain. The other way of representing this solution would be interval notation. Now I'm showing you both. This just depends upon what is asked from you. Maybe you're asked to find it in set notation. Maybe you're asked to find it in interval notation. Both of them mean the same thing. It's just a different way of writing the same information. In this case, that would be the interval notation like it is on a number line. So the domain would be everything except for 0 and 9. So from negative infinity all the way up to 0, not including 0. Union 0 up until 9, not including either 0 or 9. Union 9 up until infinity, not including 9. So this would be the interval notation. So again, two different ways of representing the same solution. So that's the domain. Ta-da!